So, just before we go down and remove the old bits of wall, I thought I'd do some quick little drawing. And this is what we've got to do basically. We've got CPC 80s on two sides, and I think that reads as 100mm max away from that edge is where you're supposed to put your Dynabolt. Sorry, your Bomax screw bolt. So that's what we've got to do. And the CPC 80 cleat on both sides for 12 kilonewton, one page up, 6 kilonewton, and then it's only just got the one. So we'll do one on either side. So this is my drawing here. We've got a 3 meter length along the bottom. We've got 100 mils in each of the posts, which means that there was 2,400 space unaccounted for. So that's a 400 mil spacing between, which works out perfectly. And center to center on these posts is actually 500. So I'm going to go along, mark 50 mils in from the edge of my 3 meter 2x4, and that'll be the center of my first post. And then from that center, I'll go 500 along, and mark all these centers out, so I know exactly where these posts have to sit when it's all said and done. So once I've marked them out, I'm also going to go, because if that is 100 mil away from the edge of my post, I reckon I'll be able to do one here, one here, one here, and here. So yes, there's two in the center, and otherwise it's just one away from each, and that should all line up just nicely. Sweet. So let's head downstairs and start ripping this wall out. Righto, so that wire's taken off, so we're just gonna pull and maybe I can set this down. Just twist this. And that's it. Okay. That's one. These other two. Right. So what we're going to do is get the saber saw and cut that away from the points that it's anchored, and the same for this one here, but we'll do that one completely separate. Just got my light source set up, and you can see where this pallet here is just completely rotten away, and there's a bit of shine on that clay pooling down on this side. I think it is just coming straight up out the ground, out the clay, but there's also got nowhere for it to drain to, so it's just sort of sitting there. And there's one down that side. God knows why that's there. Do we want that water coming through? Wouldn't have thought so. I don't understand. Oh well. So we got some better lighting, got the saber saw set up, and we're taking out this post. Alright. Start down here. I just pushed that and it went away. Goes that. So that's just freeing up those two nails. And yeah, there was absolutely nothing on the bottom. Just gonna pull to the side. That comes straight off. Okay. One more to go.
Go.
So the last post and the one that I'm freaking nervous about, but I'm just going to do it. So escape plan, I suppose, is to jump that way, because it's just the easiest way for me to get out of anything's way. So,
Nice spot.
clear that path, just in case. Should be fine. Okay, let's go. You see all this sliding around? See all that sliding around as I fucking cut it? Oh, didn't take much, did it? And you could tell that the weight wasn't even there because as I was going through, it wasn't pinching on the blade or anything. Right, that's that done. So now I'm just going to clean it up a bit more, a bit better. And I can drill out the 2x4 for the holes that I need, mark all that out, clean this up, and we're looking good. It didn't fall down. Righto, so I've used this, I want to call it a mattock, but I think it's actually a hoe. But they're bloody good. So I've used that to sort of scrape away as much of this concrete as I can and brush bits off. I sort of found what might have been that waterproof membrane under there. So I'm thinking now that the water's come down through the hillside and just flowed over this, and that's what's rotted it out. So I've taken just a thin little channel there for now to try and minimize that. But my very classy individual that knows a bit about buildings just mentioned I should probably drill through this wall and allow a little bit of drainage. So if I can just drill a little bit lower down, then that's a good thing to do. So yep, we will do that. We'll do that. But yeah, getting the drainage sorted through here is definitely a thing I'm going to have to figure out. And the Mitec thing, the guide said your holes for your bolts should be 30 mils in from the edge, and it never said on the bit of paper that that's a minimum, because I was like, well, why go 30? Like, can't I at least have, go 50 and be halfway? So no, that got that question answered. It is a minimum of 30. So yeah, it's just small details like that you never know. Also measuring this out, it didn't quite work out as I'd sort of had on that piece of paper. For some reason, one of these gaps has to be 300 mil instead of 400. So I don't know where my math has gone wrong there, but that's fine. So I've chosen this bit here, this middle gap, to be the 300, and we'll just put 2 bolts. They're only that far apart, which seems a little pointless, but that's 100 mil away from and 100 mil away from. So if I was there in the middle, it'd be 150 and wouldn't comply. So we'll go 2 there, that's fine, we can do that. And then 1 just after the end of each of these other posts. But otherwise, yep, it's all going pretty well. All going pretty well. So, next step, we'll drill that, and we might as well, once we've done that, measure and drill out my holes to prep this wall for it. And we can lay some Malfoy down, and I'll probably see you then, because I've got to figure out how I can get a socket into my rattle gun so that these things can actually work and worm their way down through. Sweet. So a couple Christmases ago, I got this Milwaukee set thinking, yeah, I'll definitely come in handy some point. And pretty much every single tool I'll have used on this job. We've got the radio upstairs, sight light there. I've used the grinder to cut away a couple of those straps that were sitting, poking their nose out just through that concrete bit of wall there. About to use the hammer drill to drill down into the concrete, using the regular drill for, well, screws and for drilling these holes. Saber saw was the right tool for the job to free up that post there, and the skill saw for cutting all this shoring up to length. So that, and the last tool really was this impact driver, and that's what we'll be using to actually rattle these concrete bolts home. So that's pretty much every single tool. It's just a real shame because I had a little flashlight as well that came with it. Great little thing. Kept it in the van, but so that and my other battery has gone missing. I'm just not able to find it. I thought I might have left it at a client's house, but I asked them and they said they had to look around and no luck. But yeah, goddamn shame. But so if anyone knows where that's gone, no. Hopefully it turns up some point. But yeah, I just want to say every single tool I've had a legitimate use for in this one project alone. So it's really, really good to be able to have what we need to be able to do it. Cool. So I lined my pre-drilled holes up on that, down on this pad, and put it down, and then drilled through just a little bit to see that where I was going, which is great, except for now I'm just about out of battery. So we'll try and get this last one, and then probably time for some food, time for a break. Because we're going good. Going good. It's also struck me that a whole bunch of random people that I never expected that would enjoy this sort of thing watch these. So just another little tip, if you're ever drilling with a concrete bit, you should get a little bit of tape and use that as your marker, as your guide for the length of your bolt. You could do this with a regular drill bit, you could do this with concrete, it's all good. So I've just gone and gone, hey, that's about there, that's about right. I could take off probably 50 mil to allow for the timber that it's actually going to be sitting on top of, but it's easier just to at least get it deep enough. The last thing you want is a hole that's too shallow, because then when it comes to driving this down, it hits that and you're suddenly sitting proud and you've got to take it out again, drill down again, and then that's actually ruined a lot of the concrete that this is relying on being able to worm past. You're going to ruin that integrity of the thread that you've cut into this material. So yeah, better to be a bit too deep in this case. But yeah, use a little bit of tape and you'll come out on top. Cool, that worked out just perfectly. And I've gone back through and just made sure the depth is all good all along there. I thought I'd just mention while we're here that normally when you're drilling a hole, you want the hole to be pretty close to perfect. And that's certainly true when it comes to these ones in this timber. So this is going to be going through, and that will go through, but it's very, very tight. And that's fine. These concrete ones, it really shouldn't. It needs to be driving its own way. So you check by putting your bolt or your screw just behind. Ooh, that's still hot. Yeah, you put it just behind and make sure that it is going to line up. And you can just sort of see those threads poking out. That's good. That's what we want. So I've taken away the bulk of the material that this can't screw through, but it should still be able to worm. But it's also very, very hard on a regular drill. And that's why I'm going to be using the impact driver, because it just pushes through, which is kind of the whole point when you're dealing with concrete. You hammer through it just as much as you screw through it. How you going, Em? What's up?
Guess what little dumbass stood on the wet white windowsill?
Cat?
Mm-hmm.
It would be your cat, wouldn't it?
No, it would be our cat.
Aww.
So now we have little white footprints going through the house.
Oh shit, all through the
I
carpet.
catch him. He ran.
Huh.
I tried wiping it off, but he bolted.
He ran away and you could follow him because he's got tracks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Alright, well, I'm pretty much ready for a break, I think, so. Yeah. Have a cup of tea, shall we?
Yep.
Yep.
A cup of tea.
Righto. The evidence speaks for itself. Where did he jump to?
So I picked him up off there,
Yeah.
and then he jumped down, and you can like I tried wiping it off, and you can see where he's sort of run out.
Oh no. Just had a little bit of a setback here. Put the mouth tape down, poke some holes in it for where the bolts are going to go through eventually. And hold on a minute. There's 7 here. Wait, what? Wait. What's going on? So I took my 3 meter length, divided it by 6 because that's how many posts I had. Alright, cool. That's 500. So it's 500 between each. Sweet. So at the 3 meter mark, there's your first post, and you go 500 from whatever edge to whatever edge. You go 500 from that, 500 from that, 500 from that, and then that puts 7 posts on there, and that's because it would be 500, but dividing the 3 meters by 6 gets me the segments rather than the posts, which is a pretty basic blunder, but because I've already drilled holes in that and I've drilled holes in the concrete, so I'm just going to have to remark and re-drill. What a pain in the ass. I'm going to have to drill this out again. This beam is actually about that much longer than 3 meters, but that's alright. So, yeah, I've had to go 500 between posts, except the middle gap, which is 400, and then 500 between those ones. So that's how it's separated out and actually worked, but I just don't understand the math. I thought it was alright. But, yeah, this is why you measure twice and cut once, I suppose. Oh well, at least that's a bit more of a reasonable gap in between these two than that one. So it's only 100. But yeah, feeling a little confused, a little disheartened. Starting to get dark. Yeah. I guess not all hope is lost, because at the very least, the 2 on either end should line up still. It's just these other ones in the middle I'll have to drill. But that's okay. So, a couple years ago I got a kit from a company called iFixit. It's got about 100 pieces in it, and one of them is going to save the day today. Because this extension bit, I don't have anything to fit in the rattle gun to be able to use this sort of socket. It's a 17mm socket that I got to use. Got a ratchet spanner, can use that. It's just the hard way. But luckily that kit, that bit kit that I've got upstairs has something like this. Everything from like changing your phone screen sort of bits to this sort of shit. So that should just click in there, and then that'll fit in, and we will be able to do this a lot easier than anything else. Though I'll probably tighten it up with those at the very end, just in case. Sweet. Try to get these all lined up. I know it doesn't fucking matter, but no, bit just dropped out. Yeah, it doesn't quite click in there. It doesn't have one of those quick connect bits, but that's fine. It's doing the job. That's a hell of a lot faster and easier and less time consuming, and you probably even get like a tighter seal than using the wrench. So, rattle gun all the way. And this is hot. Right, so that's that one in. Probably want to take these nails out of this top one. Just had tea, so yeah. Keep going. Why not? Keep going. Well, that's one in. Got the grinder out, cut some nails, and then stood up on these blocks to, like, there's no way to say it, else to say this, to take it from behind and screw it down from there. So, not too sure on the placement of those. I think that one's better because they're slightly offset. Something for me to go back upstairs and look at that drawing soon, but yeah. So, the other problem that we've sort of had was this saw just isn't big enough to do the 100 by 100 in one swoop. So, got to kind of measure it on all sides and then cut it in a ring sort of pattern. Might try just going one pass from both sides next time, because hopefully that gets it a bit cleaner. But yeah, knocked that in, went alright. 5 more to go, and we should be looking pretty. There's not a lot wrong with the beam up there, and a lot of these joists have sort of been like notched to fit that particular beam through it. So we'll do that and just keep trying to keep things as level as possible, I suppose. It'd be the other way. Other thing to remember. But no, this is good, because when this is done, I feel a bit safer about knocking out the concrete from that shower directly above all this. But, yep. Let's keep going. I mean, I guess I could use the saber saw, but that blade's pretty bent from trying to squish it round past things, and it's just good for nails now. But you can see this water actually flowing through now. You can hear it. I mean, it's a rainy night, that's for sure, but we've actually got some water flow through there. Shit. That's all looking as dry as it ever has. So that's not going to change, but this is actually draining through here. Must go into that hole under those stairs. Oh, still so much rubbish from that other bastard. Oh well. I'll film the next one, but that is much better. I mean, there's still a lip, but way better than that first one I did. You can sort of see, taking it from the 4 sides, we've made 4 different slopes to it. Now, it's in now. Just gonna tap so saw and trim some nails like a reach. Glasses falling up. Those last two I'll get a reach from the blades in. But that's okay. stuff gets falling down. Hell no. No idea what this. The last one tripped me out a little bit. It looked like it was on a hell of an angle, but apparently wasn't. All this uneven ground is getting to me. How's that look? Better. And then that should be better still. What we have. Going a little bit too far. That's alright, we can fix that. Doesn't take much. Sweet. It's all good. We can throw a couple of these down. You can sort of tell, just because I'm burning through them, I'm going to run out of these screws at some stage. And shit knows what I'm going to do when that happens. Actually, this jar I wanted to use the other day, they are just about perfect. Okay, so that's all good. Make sure I'm still on my mark, which I'm not quite. Just rotate it a little bit. And I don't think you guys need to see much of this. Though I will say one thing. You can see why builders use the rattle gun a lot more than a drill. Because that loud noise sort of just tells you straight away that, you know, you're at the end of the screw. Take your finger off the trigger. It's sort of hard to overdo it. For some reason, these don't rip the thread out. They just go for it. And sort of stop when they need to. So that is good. That's one side done. Repeat the process on the other. And this is just about halfway. Because this is the third of 6 posts, but I suppose I've still got to do the bracing jib. Not jib. The bracing ply after this as well, and a more long-term thing, we'll sort out that water that's running past. Make sure it never overflows where we don't want it to. Righto. So I'll get the ladder in there, repeat the same process up the top, and keep going. So we'll just see when we finish, eh? Righto guys, Emma's just reminded me that we have noise control potential.
Yes, we have neighbours.
We do have neighbours, and it's about 10 to 10 p.m. On this, was it Saturday night today?
No.
Sunday night.
Sunday.
Look at that. So yes, Monday is a public holiday, and I'll be able to finish this off tomorrow. I got halfway, so 3 of them done, and want to do these other 3. Then we'll take down these shores and cross our fingers. And I'll put 1 layer of ply on this side, because on this side we'll have all our wires going through. I've also noticed that while it's relatively new earth stake, you can see it's starting to already corrode just because it's had that much water go past it. So we might just push that down a bit deeper, or yeah, long term we'll be able to fix it no matter what happens, and we might even redo it when we do the boards upstairs, and eventually I'll be taking care of this one. But we'll try and get all the asbestos stuff done on the same day, because there's that one fence outside that we found that's highly likely as well. So we'll try and deal with that all at once. In the meantime, we will catch you later and resume this tomorrow.